Hello, welcome. My name is Andrea. Welcome today for this free live session. I'm going to give it a little bit of a few minutes or a few seconds so that make sure that everything is working fine. I see some people are starting to join. So today is going to be a little bit more of a different live session. Most of you maybe are surprised not seeing João right here. He's coming. Um, but I wanted to introduce you a little bit about João, since some of you might know him, some of you might not know him yet. João is someone whom I admire a lot in all of his work. He studied economy in the Nova School of Business, and he has more than 20 years of experience in astrology and with a strong passion now for financial astrology. Is a complete mastermind, in my opinion, and I have been following his work for the past years, and I'm still amazed with all his analysis and all his work that he has been doing, and especially in this area of financial astrology, which we will explore a little bit more for today. And without further ado, maybe I'll ask João to join us right now. João,
Hello,
hello.
Andrea.
Hi, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So I was just talking a little bit about financial astrology. I don't know if you would like to start a little bit over here, or if there's something that you would like to say before we start, because
Yes,
I'm eager to ask
we
questions.
can start with the concept of financial astrology. So, as most of you know, astrology is a discipline that studies the correlation between celestial events, position of planets, and terrestrial events, and that can be applied to a lot of areas of life. The branch of astrology that most people normally are used to listen to is called natal astrology, which is the study
Exactly.
of the natal charts of birth of every person. Okay, this is the mainstream. However, there are other branches of astrology, and they exist since the especially the traditional vision of astrology was also concerned about understanding things like eclipses and other motions of planets and how they related to um, social and political changes like wars, beginning or end of wars. So this kind of more collective branch of astrology is called mundane astrology or astrology of the world, and especially since the 12th century or the 8th century, sorry, the Arab Arabic astrology have researched a lot on this topic of mundane and collective astrology. And within the field of collective astrology, we have a specialty that is financial astrology, which is concerned about understanding better the financial cycles of the countries, and the financial cycles of stock markets and some kind of services, companies, or commodities. So they are focused on understanding if a price, for instance, of gold or oil will go up or down in a certain period of time. But in order to understand that, we must have a broader understanding of collective astrology and political astrology and also natural astrology, because all is intertwined or connected. If there is a war in the country, that can affect the economy of the entire world. So you cannot know only specific
Yeah.
financial things, because it's connected to social political. So one of the advantages of astrology that gives us a framework very complete that correlates variables that sometimes in most disciplines are separated. So when we
Mhm.
study, and you said, well, I have a degree in economics, we normally study only economics. We don't relate to the political or to the spiritual or to the social changes. But with astrology, it is possible to see the connections of all the variables, and that gives us insights that are very powerful. For example, in terms of financial markets, we would tend to think that people would behave rationally and
Hmm.
decide rationally. But that is not entirely the case. That is not entirely the
It's not.
case. And sometimes markets can be very moody,
Hmm.
very moody. They flow a little bit like emotions of human beings. So there is a component very emotional in the trends of markets that we can also study and anticipate with astrology. And one good example of that, of the moods, is understanding the moons, the cycles of the moon. It's already a very good topic to understand the flows and the monthly flows of markets.
Great, that's amazing. Actually, before we go a little bit further on the moons, because that got me a little bit intrigued. For you, you said you started with natal astrology. Is that correct? Am I saying that right? Okay, you started with natal astrology, and you said, okay, this is like looking at economy, like one topic, but there's a world of it. So you started to branch out a little bit more. What was the thing that got you into, okay, because I know that this is a very recent and strong passion of yours, the financial astrology side. But what got you started on it, and what for you, what does amaze you the most? The most?
With financial astrology, or
Yeah.
and
Well,
are you asking how did I get here? Is that
yes,
it?
in financial astrology, because you started with natal astrology and now you're branching out to financial astrology.
Yes, I studied. I started with with natal astrology, but interestingly, or it's curious to know that my first work of research was in political astrology, and I published my first book was about the social and historical cycles of my country, in your country, your not your country because you're not born in Portugal, but of Portugal. So of course I developed especially consultancy expertise in natal astrology, but since the beginning of my studies, I was always very interested in political and social and historical astrology. And my first joint work with a famous Portuguese astrologer, he when I decided to quit my job and to do only astrology, I have an invitation from this astrologer to make a partnership in financial astrology. So my first partnership in 2003, the first topic that I had to develop in was studying the stock market. So, but by then we didn't have the information that we have now in the internet. It was not so easy to make
Mhm.
investments like it is today digitally, and so I got a bit not so motivated,
Yeah.
and so we left this project. And interestingly, in the last 3 years, since 2021, 2020, I had clients, personal private clients, that started to put me questions about financial cycles. And they demanded me to make a kind of forecasts for them, in order for them to decide their investments better. And by then I said, okay, but please take into consideration that I don't have many experience of research in specifically in the financial field, and you must take it as okay, this is an indication, but not necessarily it will happen like this. But they started to push me more into that, and they wanted more and more information, and it started to make a lot of sense,
Yeah.
and helped them a lot to decide and to be more prepared to know where to go in and out of the markets. And myself, I started to get very thrilled about it, because it is amazing to see the correlations when planets go out of certain signs, or go retrograde, or when there is a full moon and so on. So there are very strong correlations, and with a strong it's very useful to know this cycles in terms of really personal financial investments. So I developed more and more research until the point that in 2022, by the end of 2022, I um, delivered my first course of financial astrology that was very successful in terms of the forecasts that we made, and almost everyone that was in this course wanted to repeat for the edition of 2023. So I believe that financial markets are a kind of a jungle. It is very easy to lose money, and that is why many people have fear, are a bit fearful of investing. But this is a tool that helps a lot to be more confident in the decisions, because it's in the financial world. What is most important is to understand in what to invest,
Mhm.
but also not only what to invest, but when to get in and when to get out. And sometimes 3 months can make a lot of difference. 1 week can make a lot of difference of getting in or getting out in terms of profit. So there are not many tools, from what I realized, understanding and listening to many experts in finances, that really can get to know well the cycles, the precise cycles. And so I would say that financial astrology is a gold mine. It's a gold mine, because in few people in the financial realm really looked at it with depth and with more research to understand the real potential of knowing these cycles. And when they will know it, with more research published, when they start to realize it really, and also in cryptocurrencies, I believe they will get completely insane, because half of the world is chasing tools of understanding the cycles. And
Mhm.
because they are normally very disconnected to the spiritual realm, they kind of forgot that there is a possibility that the planetary cycles have a correlation to financial cycles, and this correlation exists. And so it is, for my opinion, a gold mine that is starting to be discovered. Of
Yes.
course, it is not easy. You must have kind of a guide, someone that really knows astrology well. It's not, the principles are easy, but when you go to the practical parts, it can become a little bit complicated. So you must have a guidance if you don't know any astrology, and even if you know astrology, it would be better if you have someone with experience, because you can get very far with understanding these cycles, and no other tool that I know can get there. And this is something that all people in the financial realm are trying to understand all the time. What is the trend? What is the trend next week, next
Mhm.
month? Where are the prices heading to? What can we expect? So this is a fascinating and very helpful tool.
Amazing. You were talking about how knowing the cycles is gold. I remember that last year's one of your students of the financial astrology course. Uh, she was um, she was sharing that for many weeks or maybe months she did not invest because it wasn't the timing to invest, and that actually that time it blew me a little bit because it's how detailed you go in your analysis. And I think it also makes sense for the part that as we as a person have a date of birth and a time of birth and our nature chart, and that can help us a little bit or for where we should be going or what we should be doing or chasing in this lifetime. this also happens with companies, for example, with cryptocurrencies. So what you basically do is you also analyze. You were saying that the principles are basic, but it can get a little bit complicated because of this. There's a lot of analysis. There's a lot of calculations that you have to do in the background to understand if this is actually the natal chart of this company, how is going to be this company through the years. So for you, this is actually the correlation I see in between, because more people are more into, okay, I understand natal astrology in the fact that is my natal chart and how it's going to be throughout the year. So, but not many people understand that this also happens with the economy. So, and that's what you were saying here, and it makes perfect sense. So, along with the cryptocurrencies, because I think this is a topic that has been brought up, especially this past, I don't know, maybe month, because of the Bitcoin halving, and a lot of people are starting to look into cryptocurrencies as an alternative. Also, we're starting in Pluto Aquarius, so there's more independence to the people, I believe. So, what's your opinion on the cryptocurrencies on this stage that we are right now?
Okay, let me go back a little bit just to make a point here. And if people want to put questions in the chat box in the YouTube, it
Yes.
would be nice to hear those comments and questions. Um, but before going into cryptocurrencies, it's important to understand this. Um, you don't have to believe in astrology for astrology, natal astrology to work. You don't have to believe in past lives or future lives or karma or reincarnation, because a Capricorn is a Capricorn. No matter what you believe, they will tend to behave in a Capricorn way. Of course, depending if their natal planets are also in Aquarius or in Pisces, but on average, a Capricorn is a Capricorn and a Sagittarius is a Sagittarius. No matter what you believe in terms of spirituality, astrology works. The natal chart works independently if you believe in the spiritual realm or not. Okay, this is important to understand. However, when you dive deeper into these questions, how can a chart of a company work? How can a chart of a cryptocurrency work? How can we know trends of markets with this? We get to deeper philosophical questions. Okay, but in order to, in my opinion, for you to understand them better, it's important to know that the reality that we see outside of our minds has is also a projection of our minds. So what is really physical or not physical, it's doubtful. It's doubtful because we see um, kind of filtered by our own mind. So what
Mhm.
is the reality of life outside? Is this desk real in concrete because I touch it? Or my brain is processing something and I'm seeing it as real? So it is important to understand philosophically, in terms of model, that in the model of astrology, of deep astrology, uh, probably our mind is so real as the physical wood that we uh, can can uh, can touch. Okay, so the mind and the thinking and the thoughts are as real as anything else. And sometimes what we see outside from our eyes, it's a projection of our brain. It's a bit flexible and can be not as real as we think. Okay, just just to put the principle here, there are philosophical. I will not dive into that because it can become a little complex. But it's important to understand astrology works regardless of your beliefs in terms of spirituality. Financial astrology works regardless if you believe in God or not. It works. There are correlations, statistical correlations, very clear, in my opinion, really clear.
Mhm.
But if you dive more into that, of course, you'll find huge philosophical questions about what is life, what is the mind, what is the body, okay? What is matter and what is thought. But going into cryptocurrencies, your question was how can we get to understand crypto markets? Was it the questions? The
Yes,
question?
and in your opinion, like if we can do this for companies, we can do this for cryptocurrency. So there's this hype around cryptocurrencies right now, and I
Yes.
was wondering if there's
Okay.
really like a correlation, how easy it
Yes.
is to
Yes.
read
Well,
mental pattern.
uh, it's I will I will take some astrological knowledge to answer these questions, as to say that astrologically we are living a huge change of era in terms of society, from a change of paradigms, from a paradigm very materialistic, or that what was real was matter, what is the valued is matter, solid things, houses, real money, factories, from a paradigm of air, of element air. That is to say that the major social planets are in this beginning of this century, to be specific, since 2021, making a huge change for the next 200 years at least. And this is kind of related to what people say as age of Aquarius. Okay, it's a bit more complex than that, but we are living through a change in society from earth paradigm to air paradigm, which means from the materialistic to the virtual and digital world. So everything is becoming virtual and digital, which is, in terms of astrology, ruled by air signs, okay, like Libra, Aquarius, Gemini. So we are learning how to live in a new world of air, of communications, digital long term communications, and where everything is kind of dematerialized. Okay, so you don't have to have a big factory or a big property to be rich, and you can start your own company. You can start your own company only with a page in a social media. And so this is a complete change of paradigm, and everything is becoming more virtual and digital. Works are becoming more digital and virtual. Jobs are becoming more virtual and digital. Relationships are becoming more virtual and digital. We are doing this interview uh, with a computer and internet.
Exactly.
Many conferences and education is becoming more virtual than material, and also the economy and money is becoming virtual and digital. So the importance of cryptocurrencies is that most likely in the future most currencies will be more digital than cash. Okay, so we are paying more and more digital than cash, than physical. Okay, so now we can pay with mobile phone. Sometimes we'll pay with our palm. Okay, so or with our fingerprints. So everything, and especially the economy and money, are becoming virtual and digital. And the importance of cryptocurrencies is because of two reasons. The first reason is that societies are creating their own currencies. The public, the normal public, are creating their own currencies outside governments, and they are creating currencies that are more traceable and that are more reliable in terms of having archives, digital archives, and that are more easy to use. So, one of the advantages of cryptocurrencies is that they are more easy to use. For instance, in the past, if you had gold, you'd have to carry gold in trucks and put it in somewhere in
Say.
a warehouse. So if you were rich with gold, you'll have to take gold somewhere, and gold is very heavy. And now you can have codes, digital codes, in an account somewhere, and you can be billionaire with these codes, and you don't need to have any gold. So one of the advantages is the easy transportation and the easy way of payments. If you had to pay, for instance, if you live in Venezuela and you have to pay to Australia with gold, you would have to send gold or cash. It would take time to get there. But
Yeah,
now it's like in a second. Okay,
exactly.
it's in a second. So everything is becoming digital, electronic, and virtual, and this is a trend for the next 200 years. Also the transports are becoming more aerial and not terrestrial. So in 100 years it will be normal that people will travel, their cars will be like electrical planes that will be very normal, like ships. Okay, the starships. But the second reason why cryptocurrencies will probably be important in the future is because of the way that governments are organized and how they use their currencies. So most countries, and one of them is the USA, are devaluing their currency a lot. So the for a dollar or for euro, they, for each year, you have to have more to get more assets. So it's
Exactly.
being devalued because they are printing a lot of money to pay the debts of the countries. And this is a snowball that is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and it is out of track right now, and it's out of control right now. So there is no more possibilities for governments like the United States, in order to pay their debt, than to continue to print dollars. And that will make uh, more money being on the economy, and everything becoming more expensive, and inflation jumping a lot. So if you see the next few years, the probability of inflation being like very high is what is expected, and money, the normal money, will be devalued and devalued because the governments are kind of in a dead end, in a dead end. So um, it is normal that we'll have more inflation. So we have a problem of money, of currencies. Also,
Hmm.
because in the United States, some the other countries that relied a lot and trusted a lot the United States, they they kind of are not trusting so much now the dollar and the US economy, and so it is becoming more expensive for the government of the United States to get some debt, and to finance their own debt, and to so it is a snowball, and it probably there will be more inflation and inflation and inflation. So you have to have a reserve currency. You must have a reserve asset that is a store of value. In normal times, that store of value would be gold,
Yeah,
but because we are in a digital world, gold is not so suitable right now. Okay, because we live in a very fast economy, and if not gold, what can it be? A currency that is store of value and digital, and that respects the principle of money and of the scarce asset, which means it's limited.
yeah,
It has a finite supply and a set of rules, and the most adequate currency to correspond to that needs now, it's Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin, for now, it's the only cryptocurrency that is really decentralized, and that has no CEO behind, and that will not be manipulated, or cannot be manipulated, or not very easily manipulated. Okay, because it doesn't have a central government. It is decentralized, and the principles of virtual economy and of the Aquarian age is the principle of decentralization. It's no longer a government like the United States that has the currency of the world. Okay, no longer. So we must have a kind of a store of value, reliable, electronic, finite, with clear rules to be a reserve of value behind gold, besides gold. And right now, the most adequate, it's not perfect, but the most adequate is Bitcoin. But also because economies are changing, other cryptocurrencies, and because Bitcoin has some difficulties in terms of speed, and not only that, other cryptocurrencies are more adequate for other purposes in terms of contracts, financial contracts, or other kinds of contracts, financial contracts, replacing a little bit the traditional financial system. So they are developing with a lot of speed. The blockchain technology is developing with a lot of speed. So it is likely that many other coins can get to a high degree of valuation in the next coming years. But the main two reasons, there are probably three reasons. One is that things are getting more virtual and we will need electronic currencies. Second, we will need electronic currencies that governments cannot control absolutely, and that can give freedom to the public, okay, and that are really decentralized. And three, we kind of need a parallel a system of finance that can do um, quick transactions to other types of negotiations and contracts. So this is a reason, Andrea.
Okay, so most likely, what you see is that cryptocurrencies are actually, for now, or you see it as a long-term alternative and something that it's gaining a lot of popularity, and of course because of the times that we're living in. So,
Yes.
and how can we understand the tendencies of like Bitcoin and crypto markets with astrology, for example?
First, let me just say that to the our audience that, in my opinion, we from 2025 until 2040, we will live a cycle of 15 years that um, is more focused on basic needs than social needs. In a normal century, in that cycle of 15 years, reserve assets would become more valuable, like basic assets like for food, gold, and energy. Okay, food, gold, and energy from 2025 until 2040. But because now we have Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, it is likely that in the next 15 years, Bitcoin will assume a strong, very strong and powerful role as store of value in a
Mhm.
time of uncertainty. So these 15 years will be more a time of uncertainty, and that is why the scarce assets and the basic assets will become more valuable, like energy, food, and gold and digital gold. And so it is likely that we will see in the coming 15 years the golden age of cryptocurrencies, but especially of Bitcoin. Okay, just to connect to the cycles. Then, answering your question, how do we know? How can we get to understand the cycles of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies with astrology? And that is a marvelous question that I will explain I hope, in a simple way. So, in astrology, we have a principle which is a principle of rulership. And the
Mhm.
principle of rulership says that, for instance, you are a woman, so as a woman, you are ruled by the planet Venus, which
Mhm.
is the planet of the feminine, okay, and art and makeup and so on.
Okay.
But because I am a man, I'm in that regard ruled by the planet Mars, which
Yeah.
is the planet of masculinity. Okay.
Okay.
But at the same time, if I am teaching something, like putting the mask of the wizard in some way, or of the wise man, if I would do that, I would be leaving the archetype of Jupiter. Okay. But you, as an interviewer, someone that may puts question and that is getting wanting to know more information but with no opinion, just putting questions, you're leaving the role of Mercury. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Planet Mercury. So we could say that in this interview, in one aspect, you'll be ruled by a little bit Venus because you're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you're living a role of Mercury, the interviewer,
Yeah.
and myself a little bit of Mars because of masculine, but especially Jupiter because Jupiter is the planet of wisdom. Okay, so and the teachers or someone that does investigation. Okay, so we use rulerships, and let me say that, for instance, Jupiter, or let us say that if that Jupiter in the sky right now is a bit tense, has a lot of angles of tension with other planets. Okay, so we could say that all the markets and people that have connection to Jupiter could be in that week or that month a bit affected with that transit. Okay, in the
Okay.
same way, cryptocurrencies are ruled by some planets, but one in particular. I will not say what it is, this planet, but is ruled by one planet in particular. And so, when we see that planet doing conjunctions to other planets in the sky, normally markets behave in one way. For instance, bullish, growing.
Okay.
But when that planet is doing tense angles with other planets, like for instance an opposition to Saturn, normally there is a tendency bearish, which means going down, and we leave a bottom. So the basic principle is first understanding what is the planet that rules cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. And for that, we must know the philosophical part, but also test with the research of historical data
Mm-hmm.
and see what were the tendencies of the last peaks and bottoms since the beginning of Bitcoin. So you must test it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not enough to know the theory, but if you test it well and it is right, the correlation, then you know that for the future it is very likely when this planet is in a certain configuration that the markets of cryptocurrencies will tend to go up or down. So it is not difficult to know this. So this is a part to understand what is the planet. But
Okay.
then we must also understand what is the general cycle of emotions of the economy. And the general cycle of emotions, monthly emotions of the economy, normally we know it with the lunation, with the cycle of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important to understand this particular month. What is the planet that rules this month? How it is located? Are we going to? Are we close to the full moon or close to the new moon? Because really, in cryptocurrencies, it makes a lot of difference to know if we are in a full moon or in a new moon. New moons normally behave bullish before the new moon, okay? And full moons are normally the bottoms of the month. So there are two things we must know. First, what is the planet of this market, in this case, cryptos? What is he doing right now? Is he well located or badly located? So we know the general tendency of the market. And then we know the general tendency of the markets globally. And for that, we must know what are the other planets doing, and especially what is the cycle of the new moon and the full moon. So this is the principle. But then we have other principles. For instance, cryptos have a strong connection to the sign of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So every time we have a planet ingressing into Aquarius, an important one, like for instance Jupiter. The other all-time high of cryptos was when both Saturn and Jupiter were in Aquarius, and we saw a huge burst in sorry, a huge boom in cryptos by
Mhm.
2021. So when many planets are in Aquarius, there is also bullish tendency in terms of crypto. So it can get a bit complicated, but the principles are not so difficult to understand. And right now, we are very close to the halving.
Yes.
And by accident or not, the halving coincides with a very important cycle for these planets that I'm kind of talking about. And so these next 2 months are completely really, really, really important for the crypto markets for different reasons, the months of April and the months of May. But we are in a very, very important cycle right now.
Okay, amazing. And about the cycles, it gave me the impression that you said it was simple to know the some of the cycles in that, but then mixing it all up, it sounds a little more complicated. I know this is something that's very very easy for you, and as me and as many people rely on you to trying to translate this, because I believe it's like a language. Once I heard that astrology is like a language, that you have to understand it, how to read it, and how to translate it. So I think it's amazing that exactly you can do this translation. And about the cycles that you were saying, so there are like short-term cycles, like smaller cycles, and eventually like more long-term cycles, like I don't know. I think I've heard you talk a little bit about the macro cycles of cryptocurrencies, or even financial currencies. So let me just hold on 1 second, because I believe that João had his internet giving him a little bit of a prank. But we'll wait a few seconds. But I will share a little bit more about this concept, because I believe that nowadays we are living in a time that it's pushing us a little bit more for understanding this digital world, not only digital currencies, but digital world. And more, as we said in the beginning, more and more we are uh, becoming more connected to each other uh, on a digital way. And it makes perfect sense for this cryptocurrency, for this digital currency to be more. Hi, welcome back.
Sorry, are you listening to?
Yes,
I
you're
had a
back. You're good.
connection Mercury retrograde problem here.
It's I was yeah, that's normal. But I was saying about the like short cycles and long cycles. I believe it's called microcycles and macrocycles. Like, for what macrocycles are we in right now, for instance?
Mhm. In terms of microcycles, you mean in crypto or in general markets financially?
Both? Can we do both?
Yes. Okay. So, as I told you before, in terms of macro, we are in terms of macro, really big cycle. As I
Hmm.
said, we are since 2021, we are
Yeah.
starting a 200 years phase, more air ruled, which means more digital, okay, more social, more community, information, education, technological, and so on. Okay, so to be very broad and specifically right now 2024 until 2025, we are living the last year of a cycle of 15 years that is normally very bullish for financial markets, or very positive for financial markets. The cycle that started more or less in 2010, 2011 until now was a cycle that is a good cycle of Saturn, and it is more related to phases of booms and financial markets going very well. So we are still with S&P 500, which is one of the index of stock American markets, going very well, getting to all-time highs very easily, and people very enthusiastic about it. And according to these macro cycles, we still could have one more year with this energy, but gradually after 2025, it will start to fade a little bit down. And as I told you before, people will be more worried about basic needs, fighting inflation, having
Mhm.
assets, physical assets, having being more secure with physical assets, like having a house, having in order to not go behind inflation, having a house, having not money in the bank, but having physical things, and having stores of value like art, like ways of developing food, of developing energy, and um, assets that are stores of value. That could be, for instance, gold, or could be Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So we are in this last year of the 15-year cycle, and we will start a new 15-year cycle that is a bit more harsh in terms of um, of people losing their living standards very easily. Even interest rates in the next 10 years will tend to be up and not down. Okay, so it will be increasingly difficult, in my opinion, to buy a house and to pay a mortgage. But with the normal salary, if you don't know how to invest or create patrimony with assets, it will become more difficult and difficult to cope with inflation. Okay, so this is one reason also why people should look a little bit more for investing. It's because you are in a new world in terms of finances, but also easier to understand and to work on because of the digital apps. And so it is easier to put some money in a digital asset than it was in the past. Okay, so in terms of macro, we are like that 200-year cycle, and in the last year of a 15-year cycle. Okay. Uh, in terms of cryptos, my opinion is that, of course, we will always have cycles of speculation, a lot of speculation, and that is not correlated to real value of certain currencies. We will also see speculation with Bitcoin as well, but I believe Bitcoin is different from other currencies, as I told you before, because for instance, Ethereum, because doesn't have, it's more decentralized or really decentralized, and some other currencies have CEOs and have companies behind, and so
Mhm.
you can change the philosophy or many things in the currency, and for that reason, for the next cycle, Bitcoin is ahead in terms of store of value, in my opinion. However, of course, there are a lot of people making a lot of money with other cryptos, and other cryptos can increase a lot in value, especially related to AI or other projects. They could and there are cycles and timings for that. And the real thing with astrology is understanding what is the potential in terms of timing for these cycles, because then you can know or be a bit more confident in what you are doing. And for the people that are more doing short-term trading, it is also interesting to understand what are the cycles.
Okay. So, actually, there's something that you said that really got me a little bit. It's the fact that inflation is going to be a thing. It's not something that it will go away, and especially because of this and how the world has been moving the last few years. I believe that more and more people are starting to understand that they need more alternatives to generate wealth. Not only having a stable job, but understanding that they can market, some skills that they have. They can invest either if it's in the stock market, even if it is in crypto markets, even if it is in investing in real estate, whatever it is. I think these are times that are trying to push us a little bit to open our minds to this, because this was something that was very difficult a few years ago. You wouldn't have the right information. It was very difficult to buy a stock a few years back, and right now you have many apps, of course, that you have to be a little bit careful on which platforms you invest in. Obviously, investing has its risks, but I believe that with the information that we have nowadays, and using astrology as a tool for it, it can be a great start for people that are trying to get into this world, but with a little bit of fear. What would you say for someone either that is starting to invest in cryptocurrencies, or is very like someone that is like, I don't really understand this, I don't understand astrology, I don't understand cryptocurrencies, I'm afraid of this. Your opinion is that this kind of people are should start a little bit to open up their minds about it, because this is the way that the world is going. Is that it?
Yes, yes, yes. I believe that because of those reasons that you mentioned, that if you don't know how to manage a little bit better your money, and if you are not more acquainted to what is investing beyond raising your money with your work, which is of course very important and will still be for most people. But if you have money in the bank account doing nothing, you're losing a lot of value very fast in the coming years. So it is very important in the coming years to be prepared, to know where to put the money.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, most people will put it in real estate if they can, because it will continue to be a good way to preserve the money. Houses, lands, okay? But there are other assets that we should learn how to manage and to invest. Even though for financial stocks, specifically the next 15 year cycles, will be very challenging, as I told you. So the last 15 year cycles to invest in stocks were much easier. You put the money in the big seven, one of the big seven companies, and we will make money in 2 3 years very easily. But in the future, will not be so easy. Okay, in the next 15 years. However, the better you are prepared in understanding how these cycles work, the better. The better you are prepared to know what. Okay, I decided to buy Bitcoin, but what could be the best phase to buy Bitcoin? Is this month, next month? Should I wait 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks? And for big amounts of money, it makes a lot of difference if
Yeah.
you buy 1 or 2 weeks after new moon or full moon, and in the long term, to making these investments can make some difference. Okay, so I believe that all of us should start to look at investments as something more natural, and starting to have an education, especially because it's becoming easier in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
digital applications. It's becoming easier. Okay, so for those reasons, it's becoming easier, and because we must overcome inflation, it is important to become more educated in terms of financial cycles.
Okay.
There is a
Perfect.
question here about the course, which is Luciana. She's asking, does the monthly forecast relates to specific cryptos such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or beyond these cryptos? That's a good question, Luciana. So probably now we could start to talk about the module, Andrea. No?
Yes, I was going to ask, how can we learn a little bit more about this, for people that might be interested in. Okay, let's do walk some first steps on this topic.
Okay. So we, as I told you, we made two editions of the financial astrology course, and the aim of the course was to understand the year and monthly perspective of the stock markets, and the year and monthly perspective of cryptocurrency markets. And we decided to make available the module of cryptocurrencies. So within the course, we have many topics, more broad, more macro, more political, more stock related, and we have a module of cryptocurrencies. And we are selling this module apart for the ones that are interested in cryptocurrencies. So what we will learn if you buy that module right now is the principles of understanding the cycles of cryptocurrencies from the past and for the next 15 years. You will know, because of these principles of cycles, what are the tendencies in terms of being very up or very, very down for each of the next 15 years. So you will know if it will be more likely of 2028 be better or worse than 2029, or if 2027 will become very bullish compared to the previous year, or bearish, which means negative compared to the previous year. So we'll have a framework of understanding of tendencies, not the value, not the absolute value, for the crypto markets in general, and so months in specific of those years. Okay, so for instance, if we say 2028 will be probably a huge year for cryptos, what will be in that huge year the main month? 2025 could be a good month for crypto in 2026, but what months in specific? So you will know that with this course. Long term, each year and month of each year, uh, for cryptos in general and Bitcoin in general, not for specific currencies. Okay, not for specific, but they all not are correlated to Bitcoin, most of them. So they are correlated to Bitcoin. Okay. Also for this year, because we are getting to a huge and very important point right now of cryptocurrencies, a huge opportunity right now before the halving. It's a huge opportunity, and we will know also the tendency for the next 2 months, and also for the next year, for the next 9 months. Broadly speaking, it is months and some weeks where it could be more up or down with a highly, this is not financial advice, I must say, but it is a research with a high likelihood. And so far we've been very, very correct. And so some forecasts are already from the past, they already happened, but the most important, in the short and run, you can still be there and understand what is the potential. So this is the two main takeaways from this module, is to understand the principles of understanding cryptos in terms of the cycles, and a long-term view in terms of each year until 2035, I believe. And in each year, months that could be more intense. Okay? So we will know if 2029 will be a tendency of drop or not on 2027, and so on. Months, so long-term perspective. And also from this year and next year, and this year with a little bit more detail. Okay? But not for specific cryptocurrencies. I've done it in the past. For instance, here Lucy was asking about Solana. We were lucky to have the precise chart of Solana in 2022 edition, and I was able to do a kind of a forecast for Solana in 2022. It was very low, and I would say that in the end of 23, that Solana could have a big jump, and if it survived the summer of 2023, in the end of 2023, 2024, it will tend to rise a lot, and it got up 10 times in 1 year, or more, 15 times in 1 year after that. but we were lucky to have the chart of Solana. And for other charts, it's not so easy to even for Bitcoin, we don't have a precise location, so we must have 2 or 3 charts to understand more in detail Bitcoin. But we have the general market that is run by a particular planet.
Yes, because I understand that you go more in depth for the monthly forecast for cryptocurrency in general, Bitcoin in general. Although you still talk a little bit more about the Solana chart and the Ethereum chart, but no going into like this forecast like we have in Bitcoin, and that makes sense. So for someone who is into investing, either starting to invest or already investing, what you would say is very interesting with this module of cryptocurrencies, that you can get an overview of, okay, so there will be a tendency of this month. This is not, I did not, but for an example, so there's a tendency for this month to go up, so maybe I will wait a little bit, and if next this month right here there will be a tendency of going down, the price is going down, then maybe I will buy here. So it can give you an overview of the year of cycle of which months will go up, which months could go down, with the tendency, like a forecast, and it could give you more informed um, decision to understand when to buy, when to sell, and even for the long run, because I understand that you even not monthly forecast, but for 2000 until 2040, I believe. I think I saw something about 2040 that you can talk. You still talk about like what are the best months and everything. So even for this year or for the next many years, there's a lot of information in this module that you brought. So I think that's amazing.
What is more difficult to understand, and we don't get there in this module specific, there is it is possible to get there with other types of astrology, like horary astrology, but we don't say it will go to $100,000 by this
Hmm.
month. With this module, we will not go there to know the value, but
Hmm.
we know, or we have a highly degree of likelihood of knowing that in this month the tendency will be up or very up, whatever that means, or down or very down, or whatever that means. And for those of you that are in financial markets, already knowing this, it's huge and amazing and makes a lot of difference. So we don't know if it will rise until 90,000 euros or 80,000 euros, but we could say with a high degree of certainty that it will rise a lot during these months. And that is all you have to know for that reason. Okay, so it's not as specific as that for now, but is more specific than anything you can find in the internet or financial world that I've seen so far.
Okay, amazing. And well, I believe that we can get access to this module on the link that you have right here below. Also, the link that is on the YouTube chat. And I understand that people having access to this module, they can also afterwards have access to a private group where they can ask a few questions and everything. And even if they want to go a little bit further, I understand with some of the past students of the course, you have been doing some calls, some meetings to go a little bit further on these topics. But I believe that this module is perfect for people that really are starting, and it gives them a little bit of an overview of a lot of things. And for those who want to go further, I think it's a very powerful tool. So actually,
Yes, let me just add up that if you know nothing about astrology, of course, this module will sound a bit weird and complicated because you'll see a lot of astrological symbols, but you must realize that you receive the final outcome. The
yeah.
final outcome is what does this mean in terms of this year being good or bad, or this month's will tendency be better or not so good. Okay, so even though I will explain it astrologically, the conclusions are not astrological. Okay, the
Mhm.
conclusions are more clear in terms of the practical understanding of cycles. Okay,
Yeah, I
and
confess I did a little sneak peek. I don't understand anything about astrology, but I did a sneak peek and I understood it. So yeah, I think it's very clear.
also some people here were saying, why can we do this in Portuguese? And tomorrow in Instagram we'll be doing an interview at night in Portuguese for those that prefer in Portuguese. So be there. It's I'll put I don't know if I can put here, but I'll put here, it's João Medeiros _ oficial.
Yeah,
I'll put
and
it
also
here.
the module will be translated as it will have subtitles in Portuguese because we understood that one of the things that people were asking is having this feature on the course, and right now the course is translated subtitles with Portuguese, and this module specifically will have it also.
Also, Andrea, for those of you who registered today, they have a special price, 399 euros, right?
Yes, I believe
And
399.98.
after this is almost 100 euros more. So if you register now, it's a good timing because it's before the halving of Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
and you save more than 100 euros, 399 only this module. Is it
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, today until midnight Portuguese hours, which is West hour. So yes,
Okay.
until
If you
today.
have any questions, you can send it to here, right? Right, Andrea?
Yes, info@finastrology.com, and we'll answer as soon as we read your email.
Okay, I just have one last remark to make. Okay, I don't know if you
Sure.
have many more questions, but a final remark is this: this area of financial astrology is, in my opinion, even though the principles are very ancient in the terms of the traditional, it is a brand new discipline of knowledge, mind blowing, completely mind blowing. It's completely innovative. It will shock many people. It will shock many people. It is unbelievably useful and fascinating and practical. And despite seeming a bit esoteric, I believe that in the coming years, many more people will become interested in that because it gives results. Okay, there are principles and there are results. For instance, the moon is uncertainty.
Mhm.
When we get to the full moon, maximum uncertainty. But when we get to the new moon, maximum certainty. And that correlates to bottoms and peaks of many markets. Okay, so just to know this is already very useful, and we'll know more than this.
Okay, amazing. I'm so intrigued. I really have to dive deep. Thank you so much for all the knowledge today. For I understand that this is something that you're passionate about to bring into the world this knowledge and translating it for us that are not so into astrology but want to learn, and learning with you it's amazing, and it's very very clear, and it has been helpful for me and for many other people that have been in the course, and I've been following a few of them, and I understand they're very, very, very happy for the financial astrology course. And it's only been 4 months now, so I'm eager to see their results for the rest of the year. And I believe that's it. If anything, people know where to find us. And thank you so much, João, for all your.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Andrea. Obrigado. See you.
See ya.